The first scene of the movie takes place in a movie hall. There, the three friends were talking about how late it was. We need to start the movie right away. One of those friends is a girl called Bridget. Then, a couple comes riding a bike. They go to the ticket booth to buy tickets. Timmy, Bridget's younger brother, also goes there to buy passes. This means that he was there to watch a show as well. But Bridget's friend says no. He says that kids under the age of 18 can't watch movies at night. Then Timmy's sister shows up. She tells him he should go home. Then Bridget's best friend, whose name was Josh, shows up. He won't let Bridget go to the movies without him. So, they go to the hall and sit down. At the same time, Josh's friends join them and sit down. We also see an officer there who was looking for a serial killer. He was looking for a serial killer whose name was Red. After some time, Josh's last friend comes into the hall. Josh's female friend says that the movie we're about to see that movie was made 4,000 years ago. In fact, some of the people had been killed. They talked about Red, the serial killer for whom the agent was looking. At the counter, the detective also buys a ticket for the show. He also asks about a man and shows a picture of him. They have never heard of him. Bridget's friend plays the movie after that. In the movie, it is shown that some people were driving somewhere, but all of a sudden, they get sick of fixing their car. Then, one of the boys goes to a house close to ask for help. The door is opened for that boy by a woman. In the hallway, another officer joins the one who was already there. In the movie, we see a strange man. He was sharpening a tool he was holding in his hand. Both officers were talking about how serial killer Red hasn't been seen since he was last seen. It's my first film. A mask was on that strange man in the movie. In the car, he kills the boy and takes him with him. On the desk, it says that the drink was empty, so Bridget's friend goes somewhere to get something to drink. Bridget gets scared when she watches that movie, so, when she leaves the show, she goes outside. There, Josh tells her to calm down and invites her inside. Then, all of a sudden, Bridget's friend who had left to get the drinks came back. People who were in the hall to watch the show. When they see it, it shocks them. The friend of Bridget then hears voices. Then, as he was trying to get away, that serial killer Red came up in front of him. He kills him in a cruel way with his tool, but no one in the hall is surprised by it, because they wanted to use it in the movie. They were having fun while they watched the movie. After a while, Josh's friend goes to use the toilet. In the movie, the same scene played. He is killed in front of them by the killer. Then, when Bridget's friend heard him yelling, she went to check on him. There, on the floor, she sees blood. Then, in the movie, the counter of that same movie theater is shown. Here, Bridget's friend stood all by herself. When they all see it, they get scared and go outside to check. But there was no one behind the bar. After that, everyone goes to the toilet and finds blood there, too. After seeing it, they were scared, so they tried to get out of there. The officer then finds Timmy, Bridget's younger brother. Bridget asks her brother, Timmy, how he got in, from the windows. He says, the officer tried to get out of there by breaking the door, but he couldn't. He couldn't break down the door, and when they checked, they found that there were no cell phone signals. Then Bridget tells them there is an escape door here. They tried to open the door to the emergency room, but it was locked. Now, everyone is even more afraid, because they couldn't go anywhere else. The agent tries to get them to see that staying together is the only way to stay safe. He tells them about something that happened 5 years ago. He says that in a mental hospital, there was a person named Red. For a long time, he watched a movie about a serial killer. He cut his hand while watching the movie about the serial killer who slashed people. Then he uses his blood to write something on the floor. From there, he goes away. The only thing that could be seen in that hospital in the morning was blood. In fact, Red had become a serial killer. He was crazy and killed a lot of people. Everyone in the hospital was killed, and then he ran away. When everyone was talking about the serial killer, Bridget's brother Timmy walked into the hall. He is seen by the killer, but he doesn't kill him. Instead, he throws him in front of everyone. Also, he comes before them. The second agent then tries to figure out who the killer is. So, don't worry, we'll get through this. But now Red is angry. He was now 100% the serial killer. So, he cuts the detective's neck. The other officer shoots him when he sees this. He gets hurt in the hallway. In the movie, he was taking the dead body of that officer with him. Then everyone started to run towards a room. From the window where Bridget's brother came in, they try to get outside, but the window falls on Josh's friend's hand. She hurts herself and starts to yell because of it. While the serial killer was listening to her yelling, he got there. They're that cop who shoots the serial killer. But that killer wasn't hurt by the bullet. The thing that worried me was that the detective's shots were also empty. When Josh's friend sees all of this, he gets scared. So, when he has a chance, he runs away. The killer was taking apart the body of that detective and using it to kill Josh's friend. Then, in the movie, he took Josh's friend's dead body with him. In the movie, we see that same woman who let that boy in again. That woman was the killer's mother. She was also crazy, just like Red, who killed a lot of people. She tells Red that it's good that he brought another friend with him. Then, while running, they go outside. They were making plans for how to stop and kill that person. On it, Bridget says that we have to stop the show before we can stop the killer. When they tried to get into the room with the screen, it was locked. They think they can get inside through the window of the projector. But the projector window had a narrow path, so they sent Timmy inside. As Timmy moved forward, the killer could see him. But when Josh gets there, he charges the killer and tells Timmy to move on. Timmy gets to the room with the projector. On the other side, the person who wanted to kill Josh was moving towards him. Timmy pulls the projector's plug out. The projector stays on, though. Then Timmy opens the door to call them inside. That couple's man throws that projector. Josh gets away from the killer, and then he goes on. The man in the couple picks up the movie reel and looks at it. Here, he finds out that the killer is still alive and not dead. Again, that screen turns on by itself. Now, the murderer was after the man in that couple. He hurts him a lot. Those are all people who made it out alive. The killer and his mother were together in the movie. Killer asks his mother, "Does anyone in the movie fear me?" Hearing it, the killer's mother looks out the window. She tells him that there is a girl outside, but she is not afraid. Josh gets it all now that he has seen it. He tells them that the murderer can feel how scared we are. Then killer kills one more friend of Bridget. He took his dead body with him as well. Bridget feels sad when she sees it. Josh's friend sees it and gets scared, so he leaves the hall. The killer goes after Timmy when he sees that he is alone. But then Timmy runs away, and he and Josh's friend fall down. And now Josh's friend is in the killer's hands. Here, the killer plugs his tool into the power. They can feel the shocks. Because of the current, Josh's friend gets burned and dies. But killer wasn't hurt by that current. Josh was mad, so he went to kill the person who killed his friend. But then the killer left, which is why Josh went back into the room. He is surprised by what he finds there. Because Bridget was held captive by the killer, he almost killed her. The killer then threw his tool at Josh and hit him in the eye. Seeing it, Bridget gets scared. She runs to a room and locks the door behind her. Because Josh was sick, she was scared. Now that the killer was after Timmy, he looked everywhere for him. Timmy had gone into the hall to hide. Bridget also gets there at the same time. She shows his brother that we shouldn't be afraid of him, because our weakness is our fear. And if we don't let that killer scare us, we can control our fear and stop the killer from hurting us. Then they both shut their eyes and sat down in the hallway. Now, the movie shows the hall and those brothers. When the killer sees them, he goes to where they are and tries to kill them. But now they don't feel scared because they shut their eyes. Bridget opens her eyes in fear after seeing it when the killer was leaving. The killer knows about it, and in his movie, he includes Bridget. Bridget is locked in a room where the murderer was sharpening his knife. Then Bridget comes out of that room in some way. She sees that there are a lot of people locked up in a room. All of them were hurt, and some of them died. This is what that killer did. Bridget sees Josh there, and since he was still living, she goes to him. But then the killer's mother comes and Bridget passes out. When Bridget wakes up, she finds that she is tied. He can see that even her brother is tied to her. The killer goes up to Bridget and says, "I won't let you die easily. I'll kill you while you're hurting." As he says it, he starts to pull the nails off her foot. She screams a lot in pain because of it. The killer pulls each one of her toenails off one at a time. When the killer takes the nails out of her other foot, she doesn't get scared or scream. She takes this pain and keeps her fear in check. When the killer sees it, he or she gets angry and says that she has nothing to fear from me. She is not in pain either. So, the killer throws her down, while Bridget looks for something sharp. When she has a chance, she stabs the murderer. Then she walks out with Timmy in her arms. But before they move out, the killer's mother keeps Bridget. She puts her hands on her neck and tries to kill her. Then, however, Timmy strikes that woman from behind and kills her. Then they come running out of the house. But the killer still wasn't gone. He goes after them. Timmy trips and falls while he is running because his foot slips. Bridget puts her brother on her shoulders and yells loudly. Because the end of the movie, the killer came. He throws him outside to save her brother. Timmy's life was saved this way, because he left the movie and is now in that theater. This is the end of the movie. It stops working. At this point, the show was over, but Bridget was still in it. She couldn't get out of the movie. After a while, the cops show up, and Timmy tells them what really happened. People don't believe him now because he was a child. This is where the midnight movie stops.